So, I've removed the pan and captured most of the fluid in another little pan. But here's the old filter. Plenty of bullshit on there. Then there's this magnet. Dear Lord. It's a fair amount of metal attached to that magnet. I suppose that's why it's there. A lot of crud on there. Please wait while I wipe my disgusting hands off. And if I just take you on a slight tour. Have some bolts here. And over here, pièce de résistance. The inner workings of the valve body. And there are wires inside. I wasn't expecting to see that, but there you go. Possible that this unit has not seen the light of day for 22 years. What goes in there? Whatever. Fairly simple procedure. You get off the floor, first of all, before you start talking. Remove the bolts starting at the back, allowing the pan to tilt downward. That will slowly drain everything out in one direction. And I'll let you know, you think it'll all drain out in one direction. It doesn't. It definitely does not. It all comes out every single orifice around it. I understand that you are not supposed to reuse a gasket unless it is specifically a reusable gasket. This one technically was at one time a reusable gasket. I don't know if I am supposed to reuse it or not, because it's in fairly good condition. The new gasket is just a flat material. It does not have ridges in it. According to this sheet of paper, check diagrams identify your gasket. Really using up your valuable time here with my ill-prepared procedures. Rigid molded pan gasket. I believe that's what I have, but it doesn't exactly look like that from the side view, does it? That's the one that it came with. Standard pan gasket, but from the top it does look like that. It's rather old, and it is rigid. I believe I have to reuse this. It could do with a little bit of cleaning first. Since it's rigid, has metal inside of it, it doesn't want to flex, unlike this one, which clearly is about as floppy as a snake skin. I'm going to reuse it. I'm going to clean that thing out as best I can. Not exactly sure how I'm going to clean off all of that, but I will. We'll let you know how I do it later. Well, there's nothing stopping me from dreaming. But back to reality. Update. As it turns out, that little magnet is literally just that. It's only a magnet. There's no nuts or bolts or anything holding it in. It just pops right out and pops right in. There we go. Magnets in. That's about the easiest installation I've done of any part on any car. Okay, now second thing that you might need to be aware of at home is you can see on here, I put it inside of the bag, I know it's kind of tough to see, but there's no seal right there. And on the brand new one, we compare, there is. There's a seal right there, and there isn't there. So I feel as though I need to go retrieve that before I start throwing stuff back inside of this old ass car. So there you go. Magnet pops in and out. I just kind of need to destroy 3 rags to clean out the pan really well. Don't want any of that goobly gobble inside of, hey, there's my face, inside of your transmission. And get it all out. That's the point. And yes, I will be reusing the gasket as it is clearly supposed to be reused. I'll take out my recycle, don't I? Well, see you in a bit. Sludgy. Well, not everyone gets a kick out of that, so moving on. I found the little O-ring. There's the brand new one. I've located it, and I can tell you where it was. If I just managed to keep the camera from getting incredibly dirty, it's right here in relationship to the rest of the valve body. It is in the front passenger corner. I had to use a flathead screwdriver to pry it out a little bit. I wanted to leave it in there so that you could see exactly where it sits, and that is exactly where it sits. Took a little bit of prying. As you can see, it has a metal core inside. I kind of ripped a bit of that open. Make sure that when you do use tools inside of here, for the love of God, do not scratch anything. It's probably a good idea to be very, very gentle. All of this looks crazy delicate. I want to hurry up and close it so that I can get it out of sight and out of mind. So there you go. That is where that little sucker is located. Back to work. Well, I don't know if God is going to help me much with this project, but He is there, shining through the trees. I guess that's more of the sun. Anyways, a step away from religion. go right back underneath the Mustang. Here we are. I have taken the new filter and installed it. That's where it kind of sits in. And all you do is you kind of press it into place. I literally just took my hand and kind of hit it 10 or 15 times to seat the seal up in there into place, and it doesn't seem like it's moving at all. It's staying put. I could just get a tiny bit of play out of it, and it seems about right. Ooh, drip, drip, drop. I also wiped off the underside of this plate, as it was about as dirty as the underside of the old filter. And now the next step would be to start, well, yeah, to reinstall the pan. So here goes nothing. I don't know about you. That looks like about I have no idea how much fluid this looks like. I'm just going to have to pour it in and check. I went for the high mileage because God knows how many miles are on this car. The odometer stopped turning at 170,000 5 years before I bought it, and I've had it for 7 years. Whoa, makes you wonder. Anyways, I've got the pan all secured and bolted down. I am missing a bolt. Look at that. It's pretty worrying. Although it was missing when I started, I'm just going to sit here and assume that it'll work. I'm also going to get a new bolt. I'm not going to drive it forever like that. That doesn't seem like the best way to have a 300,000 mile vehicle. Well, who knows how many miles. I did use a torque wrench, and the book says that you should go automatic transmission fluid pan bolts for 96 to 98. 133 inch-pounds to 15 foot-pounds, basically. 12 to 15 foot-pounds. For those of you that have a different car or transmission, I will leave this up as steady as possible so that you can see it. I'm not going to leave it up here for too long because dadgummit, you need to buy your own service manual. If you don't have a service manual, I don't have a lot of sympathy for you except for these 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. Yep, alright, that's it. That's all you get. And now it's time to lower the vehicle. There isn't anything under here except for the stuff holding it up. And then start chug-a-lugging some good old-fashioned Riley's high mileage 75,001 automatic transmission fluid. So there you go. Used for General Motors and Ford automatic transmissions where that stuff is recommended. And it is recommended by this book. You should use the Dextron Mercon product. There we go. That apparently is the way you're supposed to pour it in. I've been doing it wrong all these years. Okay. We didn't take the transmission out, so this stuff's not important. Housing and engine, reminder installation of reverse removal procedure. Be sure to fill the transmission with 3 to 4 quarts. Now that is when you are removing the entire damn transmission. And we didn't do that. There is some inside of the radiator, actually. There is some probably still inside of the torque converter, way down in there. And there's some probably inside of the valve body. I went for 3 quarts, and it just ate it all up. And yes, it's true You do pour it all in through the dipstick hole. That is where you pour in transmission fluid. There is no other place. But yep, 3 to 4 quarts of clean Mercon automatic transmission fluid prior to starting the engine. Allow the engine to reach normal operating temperature, then check the ATF level, add fluid until the transmission is full. Now, full, when it's cold, there's a C on there. I hope you can see it. Can you see the C? There it is. Thank you, phone. And then there's a hot. There's an H over here. Just take my word for it. Nope, there it is. There's an H. Now this is probably about the most useless dipstick configuration I've ever come across. I don't know if I'll be able to see anything on there, but let's just give it a shot. Aim for it. Got it. Do. Trans fluid. Okay, good. I didn't pour it into the oil. And what's the score? It's wet. Definitely wet. You can't see shit, can you? Yeah, it's got some in there. I'm gonna leave it at 3. Start it up. Let it reach normal operating temperature, which is somewhere around, I don't know, 190, which I have an extra cold thermostat in there. That thing opens at 165. I hope we can get it up to at least 170, but that's the coolant temperature. Don't know anything else about reaching normal operating temperature for the transmission. I don't exactly want to drive it yet. Anyways, I'm going to start the car. The engine is warm. I just kind of let it sit here. And I took a reading from the dipstick while it was running and a reading while it was not running. And it definitely didn't have anything on it at all. And so, time to open up a freshie. I put 3 in and absolutely nothing. And if we look, one-handed, don't spill it. Nope, let's be smart. There it is. And if we look at my recycle, and if we look at the old fluid, which I poured all of what was in there into here. Too bad the camera's not focusing, but I think you get the idea. It's pretty full. That's how tall it is. And that's how much is in there. Like that much. So, yeah. Probably more than 3 quarts. So, let's take a big old drink. Let's do quart numero 4. And yes, I am pouring it the correct, pouring it the correct way, as it indicates here. Still managed to spill some. It's as fake as a $7 bill. Now, I checked this. Oops, got some dog hair on it. Let's fix that real quick. I checked it after adding the 4th quart. And I'm going to say I think I got it right, because it is warm, but then again, the engine's not running. You'd be surprised how hard it is to check the dipstick one-handed. Ah, now that has some fluid on it. You can't see in TV land, but I promise that sucker, yep, you can kind of see it dripping a little bit. That light's killing it. Anyways, it is right up to the top of the H. There's no way, can't get it to focus. Anyways, it's right up to the top of the H. Now, good old traditional shade tree mechanics will tell you, you can't check the transmission fluid unless you got the engine running on an automatic tranny. Well, okay. Every time I've done it, all I come across is absolute nonsense on the dipstick. But I'll do it, just for the sake of being thorough. The engine's running. Yep. Roar. I shall check it. Clean it off. Clean. And what have I got? What's the score? You can't see crap, can you? Well, the whole thing is just as wet as can be. There's absolutely no information to derive from this piece of junk. I don't know if this car you're supposed to have it running, but it's running and it's wet. So I'm going to call that full. That was 4 quarts. I have a 5th quart, just in case. Now, I suppose the ultimate test would be to drive it. Here goes nothing. Vital thing to check. Is there any on the floor? We should probably look. Obviously there's going to be a lot on the floor from where I changed it, but I can tell that it is all, no puddles. It's all from where I wiped it up. And if we look at the pan, especially in this section, this is all exactly the same as when I left it. There are no drips. There's nothing coming out the side. I know it looks icky, but trust me, ladies and gentlemen, that is just about perfect. There is nothing coming out the side. As I said, I do have a bolt missing. It's fairly alarming, I know, but we will press on and I will get a new bolt. So there we are. Well, it's not leaking. I suppose I've done it. It drove just fine, just like it normally does. I'll check the fluid one more time. I think I can just about call it quits, and I can start cleaning up the Exxon Valdez here. Good Lord. Anyways, if you want to avoid a $125 service for your transmission and you just want to do it for something like 50 bucks, the filter and gasket set costs about $13 from your local parts store. Get correct amount of automatic transmission fluid. Cost you about, I don't know, $35. I was in about just under $50. Saved a considerable amount of money. Learned a thing or two about the inside of my transmission and got to show it to you. So there you go, people. That is how it's done.